spouse's needs. I have to be sensitive to my spouse's needs. She comes out of, my wife comes out of corporate America, handling her own business, taking care of her own stuff, and then here she is trusting a man to be able to provide for her. So I've got to be sensitive to her needs as well when it comes to finances.
Welcome to We Are the Marriage Word of the Week. This is week 2, and I'm Yvonne Amos, my husband George Amos, and we'd like to bring you the Word of the Week for week number 2. But before we do that, we just want to recap on week 1, marriage held in honor and faith. We believe that you have to have faith to be kind and tender-hearted towards your mate. And there has to be an obedience to being kind and tender-hearted, not because of who they are or what they're doing, just because that is your decision. And when you do that, favor follows in your relationship.
That's right. And I also believe that if a man or a woman honors God, they will honor their marital relationship and be obedient to that.
Right, I believe also. So with that being said, we're on to week number 2, marriage held in honor and finance. George, you have a word for the people today?
Marriage held in honor and finances for week 2. I believe that a house divided cannot stand. I believe this, that marriage, finances are the number one killer for marital relationship. I believe when your finances get out of whack and you're not in unison and one mind and one accord when you're dealing with finances, I believe it destroys marital relationships.
Not only does it destroy, when you're down to one income and you've got 2 people, that can destroy a marriage also. Yeah. So I just remember when George was the sole provider for our home. Ladies, I must tell you that you can't go on a spending spree without the other person knowing it when you're living on one income. You really have to be honest, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be in agreement.
That's right. And I believe we've got to, when there's one income, when you are the sole provider of your home, that you've got to be sensitive to your spouse's needs. I have to be sensitive to my spouse's needs. She comes out of, my wife comes out of corporate America, handling her own business, taking care of her own stuff, and then here she is trusting a man to be able to provide for her. So I've got to be sensitive to her needs as well when it comes to finances.
Yes, and sensitive, and he was, and I'm grateful to God for it.
I was.
You was sensitive.
Was. What about I?
Oh, I'm
present
sorry.
tense. What about right now?
And still is, because before I didn't have an allowance. Today, ladies, I get an allowance, my own little bank account.
Now that was a struggle because in my mind I'm trying to wrap that around my brain that my wife needs an allowance. I'm like, an allowance, I got everything covered. You fine, just ask me for money when you need it.
And that was the hardest thing, asking permission for personal items that I need. That would cause conflict in our marriage. And then, you know, I was fighting with the, do I need permission to spend money? But, you know, you didn't get it when you're on one, because everyone has to know what everyone is doing with the money.
Well, and for me, God convicted my heart to not have to allow my wife to ask me for money. What sense does that make? So we decided to give her payroll, put her on payroll. So all of our accounts are joined together, but we do have 2 separate accounts where she has money in her account and I have separate money. She shouldn't have to ask me for money to go get her hair done or go get her nails done or go get a pedicure. She has money to do that in her account where she can go buy gifts without me knowing if she want to buy a gift for me or do something else for someone else. So there's a place that I believe that our finances in that area has to be separated. But for the most part, we're in one accord and one mind when we deal with our finances. Everything is together, and we function that way in unity, and it makes our whole home run smoothly.
Unity, unity is the key.
Unity is the key. But I believe this, even though you're a stay-at-home mom and I'm a working husband, I can't do what I do unless you do what you do. So we're able to function together and unity. Not one thing being more important. Because I go to work, that doesn't mean that it's more important than her staying at home. They function together.
And that's all that we have time for. We look forward to you joining us on week number 3. So, George, do you have a tip for the people?
I do have a tip. The tip for week 2 is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
We like to leave you with 3 tips and some additional information on marriage held in honor and finances. Step 1 is you have to communicate all actual earned income. Step 2, you must agree on what's being spent. And step 3, you must have accountability with each other and with monthly meetings. And we have additional classes.
That's right.
At Word of Faith Family Worship Cathedral. You can visit wordoffaithfamily.org, and we have Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace, as well as Crown Ministries. So take advantage of all these tips and information to make certain that your marriage is held in honor and finances. We do know that eating right, exercising, and exhaling does not come easy.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision. A decision has to be made before you are committed to eat right and before you're committed to exercise daily, because we have so many other interruptions that causes us to make other decisions to do other things.
That's right.
So your body is your temple. It should be thought about first. And so